Well, I'm ready to kick off. Brittany, Sophia, let's get this thing going. We got an amazing conversation today. We are here to supercharge your learner-centered superpowers around AI. So let's get ready to jump right in. Excited to be here today. You are in for a special treat, and I mean an awful special treat. We've got a special guest that's going to pop up here in just a few moments. But to kick us off, we got two unbelievable AI minds in education with us today. And I want to give them a chance to introduce themselves because I would do a horrible job trying to represent these two. So I'm going to kick it off to a good friend of mine, Miss Sophia. Would you mind hopping on the camera real fast and just letting everybody know who you are?
Great. Well, thank you so much for the invitation to join you all in your Supercharge Learning Series. I'm Sophia Mendoza. I come to you from Los Angeles Unified School District, where I've worn many hats to, almost 30 years now. I've been a classroom teacher, but let me take it back further. I was a student in our district, teacher, assistant principal, and now over the last 9 years had the privilege, because it's truly been a privilege to lead the work around instructional technology, really honing in on computer science education for our most youngest learners all the way to our adult learners. Also, digital citizenship, like how critical is that for our conversation today, as well as the adoption and implementation of the ISTE standards across all content areas. So it's amazing and it's great to be here. I'm really excited. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, we are lucky to have you today. When I say lucky, I mean we are lucky. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it, Sophia. Brittany, you are up next, my friend.
Thanks, Marlon. Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Griffin. I am a Director of Strategic Partnerships on the team here at the Learner-Centered Collaborative. I myself am a former educator. I taught high school French for many, many years in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm calling you today. But for the last 10 years, I've had the delight of partnering with schools and districts, states, regions, all sorts of ed organizations to try to help folks on their personalized learning, learner-centered journey. So very, very excited to join you all today. I too have a background in ed tech. So Sophia and I have that in common, which probably makes sense why we are both so curious about the potential of AI. I'm really excited to share and learn along with you today.
Ooh, when I tell you you're in for a treat, you are in for a treat. We got two masterminds around AI, so I'm ready to jump in, ready to dive in. Sophia, you ready to go? Brittany, you ready to go? All right, first question of the day. So a series of questions here all around AI and the learning environment and how it's going to impact the learner experience. We are placing students at the center by design here at Learner Center Collaborative, and AI can have an impact on that. So let's have a little bit of fun to kick this thing off. Sophia, you are up first. First question of the day. Can you share, let's see here, your most creative way that you are using AI right now?
All right. So for me, I do a lot of reading. I like to immerse myself in some of the most latest reports, especially on artificial intelligence, ed tech, computer science. So like I mentioned, I do a lot of reading. So one of the tools that I have that I'm utilizing AI for is to help me summarize text. Right. I only have so much time in the day. I need to be very effective and strategic with my time. So now that generative AI can summarize text for you, but not only do that, it can then ask me questions that I can ask the AI generator to dig a little bit deeper into the text that I might want to know about. So for me, I know it's more of a productivity, but that has been a game changer in how I am exploring various resources that I really sometimes need to dig deep into. Now I'm able to have the generators summarize the text, but then go take the next step. It asks me questions to ask it so that I can just make sure that I'm really understanding the depth and breadth of some of the content that I need to dig into. So really like summarizing and asking some questions that maybe I didn't think about before.
Brittany, you're up next. What you got?
Awesome. Well, I have challenged myself. This is the second time this calendar year, but I'm in the middle of a 30-day self-imposed AI challenge. And all that means is I'm trying to challenge myself to use AI for something every day for 30 days. And the first time I did this was back in April, and it was very much in the tinker, explore, let's just see what I can do. Now I'm slotted into that mode, Sophia, that you're talking about, more about productivity and what can I free up time for that otherwise would have taken a lot of my my minutes away from my day. Even just this week, I'm thinking back, I drafted a more witty, engaging out of office email for next week when I'm traveling on site with a school. I worked on a new profile picture for through an AI tool for my profile shot. And then at home, my niece, who loves Dr. Seuss, her birthday is coming up. And so my daughter and I used AI to craft a Dr. Seuss inspired little limerick for her birthday card. So lots of fun little ways that we're using AI, again, just trying to use it every day to make my life easier.
Love that. Love that 30-day challenge. Love the challenge. Speaking of challenges, some people look at AI as a challenge right now, but you two don't. So can you share some ideas? Doesn't matter who wants to jump in first, but just share some ideas about how you're using AI to enhance the learner experience.
Well, Sophie, I'm off mute. You mind if I take a swing first? Awesome. Well, Marlon, I just named how in my 30-day challenge, I'm doing a lot of tinkering and playing around, but the space that is the most compelling to me is the intersection between AI resources and the learner-centered movement. So how can we use these tools to make learning more authentic, personalized, competency-based, inclusive, and equitable? And I'm seeing examples that I'm going to share other people, classroom teachers, practitioners, examples. I think about Kelly Gibson, who is a woman I follow on TikTok. She's an educator who teaches high school English, and she's been using AI, ChatGPT in particular, as an essay writing partner with her seniors and having great impact. Her kids are giving really positive feedback that they're actually working harder and working on different, perhaps more applicable skills than they were when they were just writing essays on their own. I think about it in the competency-based space. Mr. Carr, who is a high school teacher in California, he used AI for just-in-time, like a la minute, in-the-moment feedback in his high school English class on draft essays. He compiled them all, and while the kids working on a GIM kit, he had AI run feedback based on a really detailed rubric that he provided, and was able to give that competency-based feedback so students within one class period were able to draft and get feedback to inform their next revisions. I think about authentic learning and what Gwinnett County schools in Georgia is doing. They've got an AI pathway and even an AI high school that they have opened that is about preparing kids to leverage AI in the workforce after graduation. And I think about inclusive and equitable. How can we use a tool that is robotic to really think about equity and inclusion for humans? It's a pushing the boundaries of what AI is possible, or what is possible with AI. And I think about Bostonia Global, which is a school that's got its own chatbot that is offering career coaching as a supplement to counselors, right? It's yes and still using human counselors, but also using a chatbot to help kids deeply reflect about what they want to do with their careers.
Yeah. What do you think?
So many great examples from what's happening across our nation. Oh, wow. So when I'm thinking about, this question around the learner experience, like how are we enhancing it? Really going back, and you touched on it, Brittany, around universal design for learning. It's just critical that when we're designing these experiences to keep that universal design for learning kind of centered, and really thinking about those multiple ways to engage the learner. I mean, you gave some really great examples. And what we've done over the summer, we have about 25,000 educators in our system. So this summer, we had an opportunity to bring them together across our system. And for our English language arts secondary educators and all elementary teachers, we included various types of artificial intelligence, generative AI tools in their professional development. Why? So that they could see multiple ways that they could engage their learners, and multiple ways that their learners or students could learn the content, but ultimately multiple ways for their students to show their learning. And we did this in a way that with whichever tool they may be using this summer, this winter, next summer, that these were those foundational elements because everyone is very familiar with universal design for learning, but now we're looking at that intersection with artificial intelligence. So really putting our educators in the seat of the learner themselves, having them work closely with their peers, but for that ultimate impact that it's going to have on their students. So that's been something that we've done over the summer with not only our elementary school teachers, our secondary English language arts teachers, but we also did this with our principals. So I'm going to hold on to those nuggets and maybe share that in a little while. But I just really wanted to, when we have this conversation, I really like to ground it in a framework of the universal design for learning, because I always want to keep instruction and learning first and bringing in those tools to enhance the learning. So thank you for asking that. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering.
Yeah, great examples from so many different school communities across the country, like you said. And Sophia, you got something on my mind right now. I don't want to let that opportunity fly by. You mentioned a key audience, right? So I want to shift the conversation to the key audience is in the K-12 setting that AI can be used by and for. And you mentioned leaders right off the bat. So can you maybe give us 3 ways that leaders in K-12 education can use AI?
Yes. Having been a former principal and knowing that, our day-to-day is like stacked, I'm always thinking about, number one, like the productivity piece to being a building principal. So let me take a step back here. I think it's really imperative, and what we've done with our leaders here in LA Unified is that we've started with providing this readiness piece, right? Before we're going to take on any new initiative, we want to kind of assess our readiness, that organizational change management piece. Like, where are we at in this process? Again, thinking about me, the leader, the principal as the leader first, thinking about what are those essential conditions that I need to have within my building, my school, to achieve these outcomes. And now we're going to start utilizing generative AI. So over the summer, we had a session with just under 200 principals at this session, and like overwhelmingly, principals were excited and they did want to know, how is this going to help me be a more efficient leader? So what really bubbled up out of this experience with our principals is like, they wanted to know, how can artificial intelligence help them with those mundane tasks? For example, we provided various workshops for principals to understand prompt engineering. What you put in is what you're going to get out. So really making sure that they understood kind of the technical pieces of generative AI, but also the essential piece around how is this going to impact instructional practice of their teachers. So I mentioned, our principals are essential to ensuring the specific student outcomes that we have. So what we were able to do is, number one, make sure that our principals have an understanding, an awareness. What are those essential conditions that they want to make sure that they have in place for the launch or the utilization of generative AI? And also that understanding of the technical piece, as well as how it's going to have that long-term impact on instruction. Because it was really critical to have these conversations with our principals first and foremost. Yes, generative AI can help you write an email. Yes, generative AI can create the slide deck for your next coffee with the principal or your open house. But it's those long-term skills and dispositions that principals can start utilizing immediately, start tinkering with. I like that you mentioned, Brittany, that you're tinkering with all these tools. So really opening up a space. We opened up a space over the summer for principals just to do that. Just tinker. It's safe. Try it out. Nothing can go wrong. We had them in a guard walls, little sandbox there. And just the feedback we got from principals, just to have time to play around with and think about some of the big ideas that might be on the horizon, so that when they started school in the fall, this fall, they were able to have questions, able to have something in their back pocket to talk with parents and their teachers with. So really, equipping our principals with the just-in-time information, because it's going to keep changing.
Let's keep that same conversation going. You just mentioned teachers. Brittany, can you give us a couple ideas or ways that teachers could be using AI?
Sure. Well, I actually want to piggyback off of something that Sophia talked about, which is that sandbox to play and tinker. Something that I found that I was needing in my own tinkering was a framework for deciding when do I use AI and when don't I. And I've landed, the team at Learner Centered Collaborative has helped develop my thinking on this, but I think we've landed on viewing AI as a trade-off lever, meaning if I save time by doing something with AI, what am I then going to invest that time in? And our hope is that we can repurpose that time to maximize the value of human connection through learner-centered experiences. So the three tools or the three ideas that I'm going to share, it's all about that trade-off. So if I'm saving time writing an email, what am I using those minutes that I've gathered back to really maximize the value of human connection? So maybe the first example would be formative feedback, right? Using an AI tool like Claude.ai, there are several others, to give feedback on low-level skills, right? DOK 1-level skills, I have a very discrete right and wrong answer. And maybe using that time saved, where I'm not grading that worksheet or that activity, using that time saved to provide some really rich narrative feedback on a performance-based assessment or something that needs more human connection and has more nuance. Another example might be using EduAid, or another tool that is a lesson planning tool, right? So if I get a first draft of an upcoming lesson, maybe I use the time in my planning period that I saved to reach out to a local community, to build a community member, to build a relationship or create an authentic scenario for my students to apply what they're learning in class in the real world. So if I've saved 30 minutes in my lesson plan design, maybe I can pick up the phone, call a local business, see if there's some connection that we could create between the classroom content and what they've got going on in the real world. A third option is to use a tool like Gamma or Canva or any of those slide or website creators. If I'm using that to create slides and materials for my class, maybe I can use that time I freed up to conference one-on-one with students or even have family conferences. So I really think as a teacher, there are so many tools out there. And sometimes the decision is, I'm going to use the time saved to have some work-life balance. And I think that makes a lot of sense too. But where we can, I would really push us to reinvest those minutes saved in learner-centered human connection moments that are really powerful, that we always just wish we had more time for anyway.
Ooh, I can't take notes fast enough. Can't take enough. Let's go one more level, right? Let's keep this conversation going. Sophia, tossing it back to you. Same question. Let's take leaders out and let's substitute our students, right? What are some ways that learners can be using AI?
This is where I think it gets really excited and kind of the sky's the limit. I can't wait to see how else our students are utilizing. Right now, what I've seen so far is, students have utilized this to create kind of study guides for themselves, entering the type of content that they're learning, again, their own knowledge, right? Their own notes, and having generative AI synthesize and lift up some of those salient points. So, I've seen that happen. And another one, I know we've been seeing this kind of since last year, but what I'm most excited about is the potential for being your writing coach. Not someone who will do the writing for you, but someone who will coach you through the writing process, kind of get you that jump start, or even giving some feedback on your writing. I think this is an opportunity we have to democratize tutoring, democratize support for students, but again, making sure our students have the access to this, because not all students have or the privilege of having a personal one-on-one tutor to come to their home, or vice versa, to go to a tutoring center. So for our students who may not have the resources, this is a great opportunity to provide support with all content areas, if that may be. But I just can't wait to see what else our students are going to utilize Gen AI for good.
Are you guys up for a little bit of fun right now?
Do it.
You up for it? Let's pull an AI tool up right now and ask it the same question. Let's see what AI has to say. So let's throw a prompt in Chat GPT. And the question is about leaders. You can substitute it with teachers. You can substitute it with learners, whatever you like. But let's see what Chat GPT has to say. And as it populates a response, Sophia and Brittany, I'd love for you guys to just take a moment and just riff, right? What are you seeing up there that pops off the screen to get you excited about how this might enhance learner experiences?
I don't know about you, but this feels like a game of are Sophia and I smarter than AI? This is going to be really fun.
So next time I don't need to show up, just, call this guy person.
Well, what's really validating is that some of the themes that Sophia and I explored are here. So that makes me feel like, maybe we really do have something to add to the space. Personalized learning, data analysis, virtual assistant. I'm obviously just reading the headers here. What I'm pretty proud of is I think Sophia and I talked a lot more about equity and the more human-centered piece of it, but these are great ideas too. It's just really fun to see what's already out in the literature that AI is pulling from versus what the humans in the space come up with, which I think, Sophia, I would be curious to hear your thoughts, but that intersection of what humans think versus what AI produces is what's sparking the most interesting conversations in classrooms, at least the ones I've seen. I wonder if that stands true for you at all.
It absolutely does. That's where we want to keep the focus on leading with instruction, right? Because we know good teaching, good sound teaching and learning is driven by us, the humans. So I'm glad you noticed that. And that's another thing we need to make sure that as we explore these spaces, that we continuously bring up that human connection with our educators, with our students. And I want to really drive this home with our families, also our parents, families, caregivers, that they know that this is a support. It is not replacing anyone. It's not replacing teachers. It's not replacing our students, not replacing our tutors. This is a tool to help us with our teaching and learning. No, definitely keeping the human-centered approach has been something from the beginning. So I'm glad you brought that up, Brittany.
Sophia, I've been talking recently. I don't have an answer on this, but it's a question that I'll bring to the team. If AI is replacing anything, my current thinking is it might replace our thinking about what is important, what skills and knowledge and habits are we developing in school, but the key stakeholders are going to remain the same. But maybe, we've got now these great tools that can help us generate the first draft. So maybe teaching editing skills and critical thinking skills, maybe we'll finally have more time and space to do that in schools. I know so many educators have felt frustrated because there's so many skills to teach and never enough time. So perhaps the one thing that AI can help us replace is our thinking on what are the skills, habits, and knowledge that we build with our students.
I completely agree with that. Completely agree. And I can't wait at another time to learn more about your framework. I am a framework junkie, but I love this piece about the trade-off and the levers. It really makes me think about digital citizenship, and that one of the competencies is to find balance.
Yes.
So,
sneak peek, blog post coming your way soon.
Ooh, sneak peek, added to the save the date is popping up. Brittany, you mentioned teaching.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment, have a little fun with an AI tool itself, right? Let's bring Gamma up. Let's just provide our guests in the Learner Center community some exposure to this resource. As you know, Gamma is a tool. It's gaining a lot of popularity amongst educators right now across the entire country. Brittany, I just want you to go off script here for just a second, right? And I want you to go off script and answer a prompt using Gamma. And if you don't mind, just have a little fun with it with the audience and kind of talking through what you're seeing.
Awesome. So Ashley is being so kind and is walking us through. Before, Ashley, you click too much, let me set the table just for a moment. My daughter came home from the end of second grade. This was in the spring, and found out that her field day country, their class was assigned a country, was Taiwan. And she had about 50 questions about Taiwan. She didn't know much. She really wanted to know more. And I said, what if this was in my April AI challenge, what if we use AI and we came to Gamma and I let her type in the prompt And she, in about 30 seconds, created the coolest website about everything that a second grader would need to know about Taiwan. So we're going to do that, something similar, but instead of learning about Taiwan, let's talk about something a little bit more relevant. So Ashley just opened Gamma. She selected web page. And Ashley, let's throw in that prompt we talked about the potential for AI in schools, right? Like, how can AI transform our public education experience? That's it. This is not like ChatGPT where you need a really great prompt. As you can see, immediately it spits out a proposed outline for our website. You can edit this, but for demonstrations purposes, let's just hit continue. It does give you a little artistic freedom. You can pick a theme if you want, or you can click surprise me. So give it the look and feel, or the vibe, as my daughter would say, that you're going for. And then in live, real time, it is going to create a website for us answering this prompt. Now, just like anything with AI, we would want to fact check this, right? But it's pretty impressive that we've got a header. We've got discover the endless possibilities of AI in K-12 education. Let's see, it should keep, it may still be generating, but it should continue to give us slides. And Ashley, you may be in slide mode. A live demo, it's always a little fun, right? See if you can scroll down or maybe even hit regenerate so it gives us a little more content. While we're live troubleshooting our AI experience, some ways that Gamma could be used. This could be fabulous for inquiry-based learning. If you've got genius hours or students that are wanting to pursue their own curiosities, this could be a very quick way for students themselves or teachers to be able to quickly curate visually appealing opportunities, resources, ideas, big concepts that can spark student research. So as this is regenerating, you're seeing the website build live in the moment. There's different sections with, as I said, images, graphics are being built. Once this stops spinning, we can kind of scroll through and look at what was generated. And again, there was no human interaction. Ashley, I think, is going to put the link in just a moment in the chat so that you can all explore this. But you can see we've got quite a website built. So it starts at the beginning with some challenges. And Ashley, if you don't mind being my Vanna and scrolling us through. So it talks about challenges that face public education today. I think funding is number one, everyone is pretty aware of. Unique students, right? Everybody's got different needs, different strengths, and engagement. Kiddos are tough to engage. We've got a lot to compete with on tiny iPhones, and keeping kids' engagement is just different. So how can AI personalize, make learning more inclusive and more efficient? Pretty excited, Sophia. Some of the themes we talked about are showing up in this AI-generated website. So we've got some examples from the classrooms, some teaching methods, it looks like below that. Again, we've got like some opportunities and some drawbacks and concerns. Again, we would want to fact check this. We would want to make sure that this data really represents the best of human thinking and AI thinking. But the fact that we were able to stand up a website in 30 seconds, I could take the 2 hours that it would have taken me to build this and repurpose it for something that really maximizes the value of human connection. Thanks for that demo, Ashley.
Brittany, can I put you on the spot? Imagine I'm an elementary teacher.
Yeah.
How can I use Gamma in my classroom with my learners?
I love that. Well, I think it comes down to your local policy. So I'll give you two different scenarios. One is you could use it as an educator. Imagine that curious, did you say you were a second grade teacher? You said elementary, right? Let's say second grade. You're a second grade teacher and little Johnny asks the most interesting question that is not covered in the textbook. It's not in your curriculum, but he is passionate about it. He really wants to know about, how dinosaurs evolved. I don't know. You could, in such a short amount of time, create resources connected to your course content standards. Imagine saying, we are learning about fractions and we want to know more about dinosaurs. Create a website for that would allow that young student to explore their passions connected to the content and skills that you are developing with your kiddos. So in a teacher-centered space, the educator could spend a couple of minutes and spin up resources for small groups or individual learners. In a setting where kiddos have access to AI, think about what we could do in terms of inquiry-based learning, allowing them to practice their public speaking skills without taking weeks and weeks and weeks for them to develop the content that they'll be presenting. I think that the opportunities are so wide open, and we've yet to even see what is possible, frankly, with kiddos this young. But those are just a few ideas off the top. Sophia, feel free to add anything that popped out to you.
Oh my goodness. I love the demonstration. I think it's so critical to see demonstrations, have conversation about like the what ifs, the possibilities, and invite educators and principals and parents and families to explore what that might be, how it might be important within their context. So it was great to see and hear the different types of contexts that we would approach this tool with, because, you know, tomorrow, next week, next month, it's going to be a new tool, and still taking that curiosity with us. I think that's something that we want to make sure that stays in our pocket along this journey as we continue to explore the new up and coming Gen AI tools and our current existing ones too.
Oh, Sophia, I'm so glad you named that, because this concept that we could teach you everything that you need to know in school has increasingly become less and less true, right? Maybe 200 years ago, that was an applicable model, but AI is changing at a rate we've never seen before. We know the tools that the kids are going to use, the jobs that these students are going to have are going to be different. So teaching them how to be curious, how to be lifelong learners is more important now than ever.
Sophia, let's put you on the spot to really celebrate. Let's celebrate bold leadership coming out of LAUSD right now around all things AI. And I know you're super humble. I know you won't brag, but I want you to lean into this next topic for the sake of our guests so they can get a better understanding of what's possible with AI in education. I know LAUSD is laying the groundwork right now for an AI chatbot. I just want to give you the opportunity to just inspire us with some of the bold leadership happening out of LAUSD around this.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm inspired every day by what's happening, you know, not only at the school site, you know, watching students like actually learn, teachers actually teaching, but also being inspired by the leadership that is really at the forefront. So yes, we soon will have a chatbot. Excited to, gosh, when that becomes available. But what is much, I guess, like, say kind of hand in hand going is like how we're laying the foundation, that readiness, so that once that becomes available, or again, the next Gen AI tool, that those habits of minds and skills and dispositions and conversations have taken place and information has taken place. So what I'm about to share with you, let's see, I'm going to put this link in. I don't know if I could put the link in the chat, or yeah, it says everyone, can I give to everyone? This is the new website, dedicated LAUSD website on artificial intelligence. Let me see next steps, if maybe I can even share my screen. Let's see, because it's really essential. Oh, that's okay. But you all on your end, you have the link. It's really essential to codify a one-stop shop where your entire community, teachers, ed leaders, central office leaders, families can come to and say, you know, what is our organization doing to prepare us, you know, for the chatbot, prepare us for the shifts that are going to be happening or currently happening due to generative AI. So we stood up this website. First and foremost is really thinking about a defined purpose, a definition that grounds us all. Because if you type in what is artificial intelligence, I'm sure, you know, you'll get so many hits. So coming together as a collective group, we landed on the ISTE and IBM's AI Foundation's definition of what artificial intelligence is. And like, why was that so important for us? Because back in 2018, 2019, we were already getting signals that artificial intelligence, not the current artificial intelligence, like of predictive analytics, but this new generative was on the horizon. So we felt it was critical to go and learn from the best. And we know ISTE and IBM, they're the best in the business when it comes to generative artificial intelligence. Yes, thank you. That's our website there. And we wanted to make sure that it opened up with a statement that shows, like, this is what, when we talk about artificial intelligence, this is what it means to us in our organization. And with that, there's an accordion here that says communications, job aids, policy development, professional learning and training, and a task force. We also have a task force that has been ongoing. We've had 2 meetings already this school year. Communications is essential whenever we're lifting up a new program, a new initiative. So in this, you will see all of the communications on this topic that have been sent to our board members, right? We have an independent board, and we want to make sure that they are kept up to date on all of the most recent information, as well as interoffice communications that go directly to our principals so that they keep abreast of all of the updates. And then in our next few sections, we're working on some job aids to make sure that our teachers have, quick little tools to be able to say, oh, this is how I do this and this is how I do that within our system. The next piece is around policy development. It was critical for us to make sure that our responsible use policy included generative AI. So we just updated it last month, and now it includes generative AI. So I welcome you to explore that. But most importantly, in any initiative we learned, this was the biggest lesson we learned in our 2014, 2015 implementation of a one-to-one project, is to have sound professional development. So here, our educators, our principals can come back and say, oh, here's some professional development that has taken place, that will be taking place. We see our offerings, the 23, 24 offerings on computer science, generative AI. And then the last section, we can't do this work alone. It's always better. We know better, we work better when we're together. We have created an AI task force that is honed in on providing guidance, making sure that everyone's voice is represented. As you can see there, we have over 20 participants, just only internal. And then we have some gold standard partners that are experts in the industry of artificial intelligence. And we've also included, because we know that, again, we're learning better together, we've included all of our materials and meeting minutes of the task force. So if members were not able to attend, or the greater public wants a little sneak peek on what LA Unified is doing with our AI task force, what are the important topics we're discussing, all of the information is there. We're happy to share with anyone. And then on the left-hand side here, there's like an orange bucket. We have some just-in-time classroom resources for teachers to explore. Everything from the most recent guidance that was released by the Teach AI Coalition, the AI for Teachers, some of the enterprise tools that all of our teachers have access to, and they don't have to pay a cent for. And most importantly, these are the tools that have already been embedded into their professional learning over the summer and throughout the school year. But I just got some more today, like Gamma, Claude, that we're going to be tinkering with, and so it can make this this list here in our professional learning. We're also hearing from our families. Our families are asking, like, okay, what's going on with this? Can you all provide some just-in-time resources? So we have an ongoing partnership with again, another gold standard, Common Sense Media, and they've helped us codify and curate 2 just-in-time resources for our families. And I'd love to come back another time, and probably after February, and tell you what we've done with our families, because that's in the works right now. And I know earlier we spoke about our educational leaders. We have 500 elementary school principals and another 300 secondary principals. So to be able to provide frameworks that are nationally adopted frameworks from our state here in California, and then also there's a readiness guide from the Council of Great City Schools and COSIN. We wanted to make sure that our principals and our central office leaders have the frameworks and guidance to help them in their decision making throughout this entire process. So we're continuously updating these resources for our entire community, but not only for LA Unified, but for anyone that would like to look for a place where like, where's the gold standard resources, because you can really go down a rabbit's hole, right? Looking for all these resources. Well, we've put it in one place for you. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing to get prepared for our chatbot.
Brittany, that was unbelievable. Sophia, that was unbelievable. So many ideas, so many thoughts, so many takeaways, so many resources, so many strategies. Doesn't matter what your position is in this profession, as you're serving learners, I took away a ton, and I'm sure our guests did as well. Some ways that we can enhance the learner experience. Absolutely unbelievable. And I mean, absolutely unbelievable. So thank you guys for dropping a ton of gems on us today. I'm going to give you one last question. All right. If you had a magic wand, what change would you unlock using AI in education?
Mine would be AI for good. You know, that's something that does, keep me up at night. I want to make sure that what we're doing will be utilized for good, be utilized for making us more human. I know Brittany brought that up earlier. How can this, so I would, my magic wand would say AI for good and making us more human. Ding.
Sophia, you're speaking my love language. Yeah, I think leveraging AI to maximize the gift of time. It's been a really long time since I feel like educators have been granted the gift of time. And this has the potential to free up space and time for that good work, the work that when anyone who cares about children, we know it's the work we want to be doing. So if we can give teachers and leaders those hours back that they formerly were investing in laborious things like email writing and low human impact skills and tasks, and we could let them invest that in those high impact opportunities, it just would be magical. Yeah. So I think using AI as a gift of time.
All right. Before we come to a close, I want to give you guys the stage. Closing comments. Brittany, we'll go to you first, and Sophia, we'll let you bring us to a close. Anything that's on your mind to get us excited about the potential of AI in education.
I'm just going to start with gratitude. I think a theme throughout this webinar has been about the role humans and humanity still play in teaching and learning. And this conversation is the perfect evidence for that. I think we modeled how you can use AI to supercharge these conversations, but at the end of the day, it's about human connections, seeing what LAUSD is doing, hearing from questions around the country, and us connecting about our humanity. I think it was Adam Grant who talked a lot about the difference between humans and machines. I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was something like the difference between humans and machines is character development. And so us really focusing on those skills and connecting as humans really stands out for me. So I just want to express gratitude for creating the space, Marlon.
So I have 3 letters, OCM, Organizational Change Management. This is another profound time in education where there's lots of change happening. So really, for our ed leaders, for our teachers, for just everyone in general in this space, thinking about how you're building this awareness, right? Because if we don't build the awareness, the reason why we're going to be adopting generative AI or AI in general, it can go down another path, but we want to really be clear on why we're doing this. What's the awareness? How are you going to build that desire for this adoption? And then also thinking about those ability points, right? What are we doing with training? What are we doing with workshops? And then increasingly building our knowledge, continue to learn and immerse. This field is like no other. It will continue to rapidly change, but not only in education, right? We're seeing this happen across the board in all sectors. Let's see, we talked about building awareness, desire, ability, knowledge. And then once you see that that's happening with this, adoption of the generative AI, how are we reinforcing? How are we lifting up, spotlighting folks who are, earlier I mentioned AI for good. How are we showcasing the promising practices that are continuously lifting up and most importantly, to inspire others? So that's it for me. Organizational change management during this time of great change.
I'm going to buck the system here just out of respect for one of our guests. We had a question come in, and while the conversation is still happening, I want to be able to honor one of our questions from our guests. The question is, what are some pros and cons of closed AI options versus open AI?
All right. My take on this, after talking with a lot of leaders, this is certainly not coming from an area of expertise, but more of a curiosity and information gathering, is the benefit of a walled garden for a district is that you're protecting students, right? You're protecting any information that they might contribute to an AI system, because any prompt that you put out there becomes part of the body of work. So an advantage to a walled garden or closed system is simply protection for students. I think an advantage to an open system, particularly for the adults in the space, is that you have access to the latest and greatest ever-growing body of information that is feeding that AI tool. So it's a very simplistic answer, but that seems to be the tension, is digital citizenship, privacy, personal identifiable information being held private for students, and then also access to the latest and greatest thinking. Sophia, does that map to what the conversations look like in LAUSD?
It definitely does. So about 2 weeks ago, it was Digital Citizenship Week, and the theme, get this, digital citizenship in the age of AI, right? So now is the time to double down on all of your digital citizenship competencies, being alert, being balanced, and there are many more, but those were really the two that bubbled up at this stage of the game, right? It's going to be different next school year and throughout. So really looking at how we are utilizing our digital citizenship competencies while we are intersecting with generative AI. So yes, at the beginning of the school year, our school district, we put a temporary pause on applications like ChatGPT because we wanted to do our own due diligence first, right? We wanted to make sure we got the correct guidance from our general counsel. We wanted to make sure we went out and researched the best of the best. We wanted to both do the pros and the cons, the benefits, do they outweigh the risks, and vice versa. So now we're at a place where platforms like ChatGPT are available on our network. For all educators and students who are 13 and over, and our secondary students, starting in January, all students will now have access to a mandatory course, Digital Citizenship in the Age of AI. So they'll have that awareness building, so that when they are in these, we know that they're going to be in the walled garden with us, but when they're not with us, they need to know what are the habits of minds and the skills and dispositions. So yeah, I think it's imperative that we start having those conversations early now, because it's what we are faced with. It's our reality.
Thank you, Rob, for taking the jump on that question. I just want to bring us to a close. For our guests at home, if you just wouldn't mind standing on your feet, giving our two panelists a standing ovation, whether that's standing virtual snaps. Want to make sure that everybody gets a standing ovation, whether it's in person or virtual today. I hope you get both at some point in your life. But thank you to our panelists, to our guests. On behalf of the Learner Center Collaborative team, we're placing students at the center by design, and we are very grateful for all that you do in education. And we just want to say thank you for your service. I want to thank you for attending today. We are recording this, and we will push this out to everyone via email. I do want to take the opportunity to do a little infomercial on our Learner Center Collaborative AI course. If you get a chance in the chat, we'll drop the link in there for you as well. Great resource, wonderful opportunity to just continue to supercharge your leadership, your educator, your loving on kids' powers, leveraging AI. More importantly, just thank you for the job that you're doing. We appreciate you being here with us today. Hope you took some nuggets away. Again, thank you to everyone for attending, and thank you to Ashley in the background for making this webinar possible. She's been a fantastic partner on this LCC journey. Thanks for being here. Hope you have a great rest of the week and keep loving up on your students. Have a great rest of the school year. Thank you, everyone.